Hello, my name is Tochi Opara. This is my 8th year being a mom. And one day somebody said to me, I love the way you speak to your children like they're adults. Man, I laughed. But I can tell you for free that I wasn't always like that. In fact, as a first-time mom, I was living a life of default. But from the moment I encountered Dr. Vivian, enrolling in the Vivian Okoye Academy, and also attending Parent Summit Africa, things changed a whole lot for me. I became a more conscious and intentional mom. I began to understand exactly the way to connect and address the child I have in front of me. Like she always says, it's all about understanding the child you have in front of you. We just bonded better, and even to discipline. In fact, there are so many things I can outline, so many benefits that I can outline since I encountered Dr. Vivian. And now that the Parent Summit Africa 2024 is around the corner, you should register because I'm sure you want to raise a mentally strong child.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vivian. You have been a great source of support and inspiration to me. Learning from you has taught me a lot over the years. You have truly made me a better father and parent for my kids and entire family. I took my first course with Dr. Vivian's Parental Academy in July 2021. That's Ultimate Parenting Bundle, and it was amazing. And that was after following her on Instagram for a while. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, ma'am, for all you do and for the impact that God is bringing to families through you. God bless you and fulfill His purpose for your life in Jesus' name. I look forward to this summit, and I know that it's going to be a blessing to everyone. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Phoebe. I live in Nigeria. I'm a mom to 3 adorable children. My first encounter with Dr. Vivian and Parent Summit Africa was sometime in 2017, just when I was about joining the parenting journey, and I must say it has been very phenomenal. I like the fact that Dr. Vivian is very straightforward, very relatable in her classes. She gets to hold your hand through a journey. In 2024, I joined her Parenting with Calm challenge, and it was a wonderful challenge. I recommend all parents I know to Parent Summit and to Dr. Vivian's program because they are programs that are designed to help you navigate through your parenting journey. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome back. Please invite your friends and family and even your enemies. This is session 2 of session 2 of day 2, Parent Summit Africa 2024. And if you were here in the first session, you would agree with me that we were all like mind blown, and it was very insightful. And I'm telling you that it gets better and better with each session. Like I told you in the first session, even if you did not have a neurodivergent child, you would have learned practical things you could do with that strong-willed child in your house, with that child that is giving you headache. And that's the same thing I'm going to say for this session. Even if you're not raising your children in a blended family, I am sure that you will leave here with practical wisdoms that you can use to improve your relationship with your children, improve your relationship with your spouse. So welcome. The person that I'm inviting on the stage is Popsimi. Coach Sam is like my pops. I call him Pops. He is one of the amazing people who have held my hand on my journey, and he's just a sweet soul. And his story is one that I want everyone to hear, and that's why I brought him here. He is who we call the coach of coaches, right? So if you're here, it will be a blessing. It will be an honor for us to learn from him and for us to hear from him and for him to share his experiences, his stories, and his expertise with us. So guys, tune in. Make sure you engage in the comments. Make sure you're paying attention, and make sure you share this video so that other people can join in. While we're generous like that, even if they did not register, they can join in. The only difference is that if you registered, you're in the community, so you get the extra benefit of being in the community. But we won't hoard this information and knowledge with people, so gladly share the links, share the video, share the YouTube with people. Let them let them join us. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women, wherever you're joining from, please say a warm welcome to my pops. Good evening, pops.
Well,
we're, we're,
good
ex- we're
evening.
excited to have you. So I'm gonna leave the stage for you and do your thing.
Thank you very much. I am excited to be on this call, and Dr. Vivian has been such a blessing to my life for so many years. My name is Sam Obafemi, the octopus, and I'm super happy to be here to talk about blended families and raising mentally strong children. This is not a topic I can do alone. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome with me Mrs. O, the one and only, the one with whom I'm raising a blended family. So,
I have
guys,
to, I have
here we
to come on
go.
screen. I have to come on screen to say welcome to Mrs. I cannot be in the background. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Awesome. So, we're going to be talking about how we have been planning and building our family. Our family is still a young family, less than 1 year officially, but we have been blessed to navigate this journey in a very interesting way. My wife and I met in 2019. That makes it 5 years ago.
Five.
I think we're having a challenge with network. What's going on?
5 years ago. And as at the time, okay, we're back. So we met 5 years ago, started off as friends. Honestly, dating wasn't even in the radar, let alone getting married, And over the last 5 years, we have designed and worked together, deciding to get married, deciding a lot of things that will play out in our marriage. And here we are by in a few days' time, it will be officially a year now that we've been married. So, what has it been like building a blended family? What has it been like raising our children? I have two daughters that kids married, and that makes us first. Let me even so Dr. Vivian, let me know if this glitch is from my end. Is it from our end?
Yeah, I think it's from your end.
The network, eh?
Yeah, I think it's from your end because mine seems to be clear. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Give me a second. Let me do something.
Okay. All right, guys. Please let's just let's give them a few minutes to sort out the network. Please, if you have any question, background story is what Coach Sam has been sharing how they met and how they got married. They both had children from different marriages before they got married. Okay, are we? I'll leave you now.
Well, good. Thank you. So, I'd like to first define a blended family so we can have good context. What many people know as blended family is, or two people that were married before that come into a new marriage with their children. That's like in our case, that's a blended family. True. Another scenario could be a single parent who decides to marry someone that has children, and then that brings about a blended family. That also works. It could also be a single parent who marries a single and they have a child. That too is a blended family. A blended family simply means any new nuclear family where the people in that family are not originally from the man and the woman in that marriage. That's my understanding of a blended family. So, with that said, I also want to say that many Nigerian families are currently blended. There are so many blended families that don't see themselves as blended families. I'll give you another example. In Nigeria, we have a culture of bringing someone from the village or someone from our parents' side to come and live with us to help and raise our children. And they come very young and grow with our children. In my opinion, that's also a blended family. So a blended family simply means man and woman, they are together in marriage. The people in that marriage with them are not all biologically two of them, from two of them. That already automatically is a blended family. And it is important for us to understand it that way. So it is a nuclear family that is formed from different factors to become a new family. And I think if we are able to define it that way, it will give us context. So based on this definition, it means that we're going to always have a stepfather or a stepmother. We're going to have a likely adopted child or a child that is parented by someone who is not biologically their parent. Those relationships will happen in a blended family. And that is why this conversation is very important, because it is a lot of emotions at play. A lot of emotions are at play, with respect to that. When I left my former marriage, I had the first fear of how I was going to raise my daughters. And of course, because I was now a divorced single man and I was co-parenting with their mom, it was a different dynamic. When I now met my wife and we decided to, become newly married, I now have to, be a father to her daughter and her son, who have now become my children. And then that introduces some level of a different dynamics where I had to unlearn that I have two children and keep learning that I have four children. She also had to unlearn that she has one girl and one boy. And now she has, in fact, in her own case, it's a little more complicated because she just suddenly became a mother of teenagers. Because from my end, I have two daughters. One was a teenager, one was a preteen, and suddenly my wife has to become the mother of teenagers with the two children that she also has. So that's how it became quite a very strong dynamic. I'll let my wife say a few things around, her perception of a blended family, and how I also like her to talk about the initial conversations we had around building a blended home, because I like her to speak from her context, on this topic. So, babe, let's go.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Vivian, and thank you for having us on this call and then for this very important topic. So for me, what my husband said is correct. A blended family, just the word blended, you know how you just put tomato, pepper, onions inside blender and blend. That is a blended family. So, but sometimes people see blended family like not incomplete, but let's say irregular, because they see it from, if these people are blended, somebody must have divorced somewhere. It's not complete, one thing like that. But honestly, once there is a child usually that is not biologically yours, your family is blending, because whether you do it formally or not, that child has become part of your family. So for all the nieces and cousins and relatives and whoever that we bring when we become a union, and then to stay with us and grow with the family, that makes it blended. So for me, one of the conversations that really stood out for me, because I think I grew up, no, I think I grew up in a family where we're quite liberal, open. My parents never, insisted on a particular tribe or, but I also grew up in a family where, so I grew up as a Catholic, and the Catholic Church frowns at divorce, and it's not encouraged and all that. But I also grew up in a wider environment where everything is not black and white. Everything is not, if you are not married, if you've left a marriage, you're a bad person, you did not do well. And over the years I've come to learn that sometimes both parties, none of them is bad. It's just that incompatibility that has become so strained, and all that they just cannot live together. So for me, looking at it from that other side, and I think also with learning, exposure, meeting people, and having conversations, because I have friends that their parents, they are not together. They grew up, they'll be with the mom, they'll go to see the dad, and it never, like, there was nothing to stigmatize them about. They're good people in themselves. I've met the mom, I've met the dad, and they are good people in themselves. So for me, I think that stigma around, if it's a blended family, it's just somebody went to do wrong somewhere and now ran away and left it and is now bringing it here. So you hear things like, be careful, open your eyes, are you sure? Are you sure? Have you checked? Have you investigated? Have you? Which is very good, because usually most of this advice comes from a place of love. So it's a place of love of that story. In his case now, that story that he came and told you that was what happened. We're very sure that when you speak with his ex-wife, she will have a different version of it. So be very careful. Don't just take everything that he's saying hook, line, and sinker, which makes sense, because, of course, I usually tell people that one person cannot be 100% responsible for the breakdown in a relationship, any relationship, because it takes more than one person for it to be a relationship. So if there's a breakdown in that relationship, then that means both parties played a role in it. So it's better if you're able to find out, if you can, but always know that it's not 100% just one person's fault.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mrs. O. Let's talk about how I navigated divorce first. Then we'll talk about the challenges and growth from remarrying or getting married to a widow who has children. The first thing I would like to say around divorce, and this is just in an unlikely situation where someone here is thinking, if I would like to explore divorce, what should I do? Especially because children may be involved and because it can always be very delicate. The conversation around divorce is always very delicate. I will just say one thing: be kind. Expand your latitude to be kind, because marriage is a relationship that can never be undone. No matter how you do it, there's always something about it that will be hanging in the air around you. So you want to be kind in the process of, ending a marriage, especially when children are involved. As parents, I'm sure Dr. Vivian has always shared in your community that children don't do what we tell them. Children simply follow what we do. So if we are an example of kindness, even in the most difficult of situations, they are learning kindness by the way we behave in kindness. So I'm going to leave it at that. But let me go into what went down before I got married to Mrs. O. Now, we all have that background that she was a widow. She was widowed. And of course, then here I am, just like she said, divorced. She has a Catholic background. Her family is from the North Central. Okay, I'm also North Central, Plateau State. Then, there's this first perception. My name is Obafemi. There's a Yoruba guy. He's divorced. His wife lives in Abuja and works in Abuja. He has 2 daughters. There are just many fears that I had to contend with. There are just many things that I needed to speak to. There were needs, emotional and psychological needs I needed to address to be able to give her a level of comfort and to be able to give her family a level of comfort that I meant business. And that is one challenge that happens with starting a blended family. The thing is that in a blended family, everyone that is going to be in that blended family that comes from different places, they have a stake where they come from. And it is wisdom to know how to navigate that stake. Let me give you a typical example. My daughters live with their mom, come and stay with us many weeks during the holidays, so we literally share custody. It is foolishness for us to think that whenever they are with their mom is probably praising us and say, oh yeah, it's good you go there, because she also would like to have her kids with her. Like, I wish your dad was here. It has to be that's logical. So the challenge with building a blended family is that the people in the blended family also have stake elsewhere. And we have to be smart, wise, kind, and mature to manage these stakes every other place that everybody has an interest or a stake. And that's very key. Now marrying a widow who had a life with a different man who departed, who also has family, because I recall that our original plan was to get married last year, August. But between August and when we got married, or at least got traditionally married in December, it was a lot of very sensitive trade-off between her parents, and her former in-laws, which had to be done. So here I was on the sideline. It's not like I have anything to do with respect to, I don't have a contribution to that conversation, but I needed to also manage my wife, then my would-be wife, who was navigating a very slippery slope with her former in-laws, and manage her parents, who were also, especially her mom, who was very concerned around, I hope this guy will take care of you. And her dad coming from the angle of, if he's not going to really take care of you, I would rather let him just leave you alone. So these are the things that happen with blended family. You have to have a large heart. You have to have a wide threshold to remember that this family you're trying to form, the people inside have stakes and interests. There are people that love them. My wife is someone who has friends of 43 years and counting. And these are people that are her day one. And they have a very strong bond. So, of course, they were like hawks and, falcons. Like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? What's going on? Let's check him. Let's be sure. And if I was interested in marrying her, these were stakes I had to manage. But I'm speaking on my side. Let's flip the script. On her side, here I am, a public figure, having a large community of people who are coaches and customers and clients. I have a huge history with people, and they're wondering, so did he leave his wife because of her? Because there's the narrative around, when did he meet her? When did he leave his marriage? So that we know whether she was the reason why he left his marriage. And then they're checking, who is she? Oh, she has children. Where does she work? So it's a lot of emotions at play. And when you're coming into a person's life and the people that are there, like the principalities and gates, are like, this is the person. Who is this new person? So the thing around managing and building a blended family, I would like to say, is about emotions management. Emotions of people who have stake in the relationships or lives of the people with whom we are creating a new blended family. If you are not ready to build your emotional intelligence, to increase your threshold of patience, to increase your context management, to increase your accommodation, sometimes to even create a huge compromise for the overall good, you are not ready to build a blended family. And let me give you an example. By the time I was ready to remarry and marry Mrs. O, my first child was already 14. Yeah. My second child was 12. So here I was now marrying, and my wife's first child was 11. And our second baby was 9. Mm-hmm. So, you know how that fun of, my children don't enter teenage years, make I start to the rest. Then suddenly you have a son that is not even preteen yet, and you're wondering, okay. So these are the things that go with blended family. It's like a culture shock. There are a lot of culture shocks that happen. And culture here does not necessarily mean tribal shock. Well, in our case, it's actually a bit of tribal shock, because here she is married to a Yoruba family. She has to start learning the Yoruba ways. And here we were, I'm marrying into a Plateau family, even though I grew up in Plateau State, but it's not the same. It's not the same as understanding the culture. So, the dichotomy of discipline and principles and values and beliefs that comes into a blended family. It's different from two young people who got married, had their children, raised their children how they want. This one, we were formally married, we have children that are growing, and then we're coming together with, and you guys that are parenting experts will say a child's default programming is set at 7 years old. A child is already, there's just a level of something has been set in the child. So if our youngest child at the point of being blended is 9 years old, you can imagine the level of conflicts that can happen. And how did we deal with that in our home? Immediately we got married. We became a home that we're having board meetings almost every day. It was like a daily thing. In fact, every day, guys, everybody come around, we'll sit down. Okay, this is what we have observed. This is what's going on. This is how it's going to be. We had to keep reinforcing. We had to keep talking. We had to keep communicating. We had to show a lot of leadership. We made sure we were present. We were present every time. As much as we could not go to the office, anytime we had an opportunity to stay in the house, we took it, because we wanted to be present to manage the shift and the transitions. This was the first time these 4 children were going to live together. Just the 2 children from the 2 different marriages had their drama originally, the normal sibling issues. They now have, aside their own biological sibling, they now have a blended sibling. So we needed to be present to manage that transition. That's the first thing. The second thing, we make sure we're as transparent as possible. In fact, today my wife and I were talking about how we need to give ourselves credit for the transparency we have shown our children. When we have. When we don't have, we talk about it. When we think that somebody's getting out of line, we bring the person and talk about it. Like, we make sure that it's an open house. So to a large extent, everybody has an idea who is doing what, who is going where. We had to share roles and responsibilities. We had to share duties and rosters. We had to decide on our discipline method. We had to decide on for example, we have what we call rules in our home: kindness, accommodation, friendship, and how we are the same team. We have to address the deep. So we had to find a way to help each other learn each other. We had to do that. So we literally started educating our children. This is who this child is. This is how this child responds to things. This is how this child behaves. We had to educate them, because at their level, it may not cross their mind to try to learn who is doing what. Unfortunately, we had this on a podcast, but the editing was very poor. So we would have recommended that you check our podcast for that episode, but we're going to redo that in December. But the point we're making here is that we, as the parents who came into this marriage with our children, we decided to take leadership, educate them about the family we are building, open their eyes to the normalcy in the conflicts that will happen. We were not pretending that, nobody should fight, nobody should be, make una they do una fight. But we were present to help them make that transition. We were present to know, okay, who has tendencies that we need to checkmate, and who just needs to understand that this is now a different setting. We were educating them around how to see themselves as siblings and protect themselves, because at a point we started saying everything that happens in this house is in this house. And let me give you an example. So, because we've talked about in a blended setting, everybody has a stake from where they come from. Okay. Everybody has a stake from where they come from. And then because of that stake, there is a tendency to want to try to satisfy, the requirements or the demands of where they come from. So we had to learn to talk about that in our home. We say, you know what? Everything that happens in this house stays in this house. And these are some of the tips that we had to adopt in our family to keep it going. So I'm going to continue while they try to sort the power. The generator just tried to go off. We don't know why, but I'll continue. So what are the skills we think that people in a blended family should consider and adopt? What are the skills people in a blended family must consider and adopt? We have shared some of them, and I'm just going to amplify some of them. Number one, empathy. For your blended family to work, every parent in the blended family, and I'm emphasizing on parents here because it is the parents that set the tone. If the parents don't set the tone, there's going to be a lot of challenges. Everybody's looking up to the parents. So parents must show empathy. And what's empathy? One thing we told our children is that nobody in this house has been here before. Nobody in this house has been here before. I have never remarried from divorce. In fact, I've only been divorced once. My wife has only been a widow once. She has never remarried from being a widow. The children, none of you has ever had to adopt a sibling that was not born by your parents. So we had to establish that first as a family, that you know what, everybody in this house now, we are in this journey for the first time. Let everybody give everybody grace. So that all the expectations and comparison and, oh, it's because it's not my father, it's because it's not my mother, we had to tell them, see, full disclosure, guys, upfront apology. None of us has been here before. So let's accommodate the mistakes and the errors and the navigation and the learning curve. That is very important for a blended family. That is something the children needed to hear many times. You have not been here before. So it's okay to not understand what to do. And it's okay to just keep going as you understand it. That's very key. Number two, communication. Like I said, we were having family meeting back to back. Our children took the initiative to create a WhatsApp group for just us. We did not even think of it. One day we just found ourselves in a WhatsApp group. They called us what did they call the name of the group? I don't even forget. The O's. They created a group called, it's the children that decided on their own to create a WhatsApp group that all of us belong to manage information. And that was very, very symbolic. It was like a breather for us, like, wow, this is nice. Because to us, it was like, okay, we did together, make we run this thing. So it's very good. And since they created the group, even when they are in school, like last week, my wife put some content there. The girls are in boarding school. They don't have access to the group yet. But when they come back, they will see the message in the group. So communication is such a priceless thing when you are building a blended family. The third, which we also had to do, was we gave room for the children to speak. And this was what we did. We gave them permission to speak to us together in the family. We also gave them permission to go to your parents. Because there was this initial challenge or fear that, okay, daddy is now married to mama. Does that mean we cannot talk to daddy again? We have to go through her, or he has to be in her presence. Then, of course, Jason and Salma also will feel, okay, yes, we know that we now have a new daddy, but does that now mean those days when we can just enter our mommy's room and just lay in her bed and ask her if we can sleep over in her bed? And then, so now that we stop. So what we did, we gave room for them to be able to speak to us. In fact, sometimes we would initiate the conversation. Now, let me tell you a secret. Don't tell the children. When we share those in those personal conversations, we come to each other and say, oh, see what I talk, or see what happen, see what happen. The children don't know, don't say it. So we do that. So we go to our children, or they come to us privately and they share their concerns. Okay, this happened, I don't know what to do, I don't like what happened, this one, that one. I'll say, okay, I mean, also there's always that balanced view of, no, you said, say you fuck up. Or okay, I get it. Okay, I'm going to complicate that. Okay, don't worry, I'm sorry about that. Then we now come to the bedroom, me and her, and say, so I was having a conversation with Sharon, and this is what she said, and that's what he said. Or she'll say, okay, so Boo Boo said this, and between us, we agree on what to do. And sometimes we don't even go back to say, okay, my wife and I have to. No, we don't do that. We just implement. And they see that, I spoke to daddy and I've seen an improvement. That means daddy is still available for us. Hey, thank God. I spoke to mama and I've seen a change or an improvement. That means mama is still available for us. That is what the children in the blended family need. They need that sense of safety. They need to know that they are heard. They need to know that they are seen, they are felt. A blended family does not shut down a child's voice. No. In a blended family, now there may not be a specific formula. We can't here tell you now, do it like this, do it like this. But one thing we have to say is that when you create a blended family, the people in that family should have their voices heard. However you implement that is at your discretion, but it is very important because that is how they mentally feel safe, and they're able to build confidence, and they're able to embrace what they have become. Our daughter Sharon, for example, and Feromi, when they go to school, they'll say, I met somebody that knows you. I met somebody that relates with you. And so they are not afraid. If we were not building a mentally strong blended home, they will feel ashamed of the divorce their parents had. And I'm talking about me and their mom. It will be so bad that maybe when they go to school, they will be feeling stigmatized. They will feel isolated. They may start struggling with self-esteem issues. But guess what? Our daughters in school, they are the ones promoting us. My dad is coming and mama is coming, and anytime we speak on phone, they want everybody to talk to us. It's coming from a place where they've come to embrace the strength of our blended home. But we have to do that work at home. And the same thing with Manji and Salma. Because so now there's this transition. Before they used to call me Uncle Coach Sam. I miss that. They used to call me Uncle Coach Sam. And now they call me Daddy. And sometimes I'm wondering, okay, yeah, I know I'm your daddy, but I like the sound of Uncle Coach Sam. So the point we're making here is, thankfully, and we are grateful to God, the steps we have been taking has given these children the confidence to accept us as their parents. And they're able to say it and act it and live it. Instead of feeling, I wish our daddy did not leave our mommy. And now my woman he married has decided to not make us part of her family. And then she'll be wondering, maybe Salma and Boo Boo will be wondering, why did our daddy have to die? Because this man just came and took our mommy away, and we don't seem to have any access to our mommy again. These are the realities of a blended family. So, Mrs. O, Vivian, let's hear you.
Let me let Mrs. O say something, then I'll come.
Okay.
We still have some time. We have about 15 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'd like, if you can, let's talk about, for those who are going into blended families or experiencing a blended family. Well, maybe I'll let you speak off the cuff. No, just looking at what
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Like, for someone, like as you spoke, right? What came to mind is, for someone probably who is maybe separated or divorced or widowed, who has children and who is now wondering, is there still a place for me, to experience, that sense of family again? What would you say to them? Because I feel like there's a lot of fear.
Yes.
With stigmatization, also with the confidence that probably, depending on what ended the marriage, the confidence that you didn't do something right, and that's fear that you might get it wrong the second time. So there's all of that fear.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone who is in that headspace at the moment, and especially aside the person as well? I feel like what you just said about your children being confident in speaking about you guys, I feel like that stigmatization is also transferred to the children, where there is a shame surrounded
Yes.
that then hangs over them, that they don't
Yes.
have typical family. How do
Yes.
you speak to the person to help their children navigate that sort of
Awesome.
confidence and shame that comes with that?
Yes. Yes. Very good question. Before you say something, I want to talk about. You remember those days when you used to say, we used to talk about what was stopping me from actually, those days when we used to think, will this relationship work? Will it not work? And I used to say, I have this fear that I'll mess it up.
Yeah.
You remember? And it's a logical fear for many people. Between us, I struggled to concentrate in the relationship. And it used to be a challenge because I used to say, I will enter this relationship now. Then I will now lose steam. Then I may not now be consistent. Then I may not be able to take care of you. Then I will now be distracted. Then the relationship will just be off. Then the marriage will just become dry. Then I'll just be wondering, why did I even get married? There are fears you will always face. I had mine, she had hers. She also had the fear of this guy is his work, sha. Will he be able to be present to take care of us and pay attention to me? And the part of hope, the cultural issues and the of course the crowd issues. I'm like attracted to so many crowded people. So those fears are real, Mrs. O. So I don't talk about everything.
Okay, so for me, let me speak from my own experience. After my late husband died, of course, there is this, oh, you're a widow, so everybody should pity you. So people see you and think you just want handouts, or, even when men approach you, they're approaching you with, I just want to help your life. Oh. Don't be forming too much. Someone actually told me that I hope I'm not being too choosy. Oh. And, I was too shocked. And I told the person that I've earned the right to be choosy. Maybe the first time I got married, it was okay, it's time. There is this person. You love the person, marry. But now, I said, I've earned it. I was married to my late husband for 9 years. And I told him, I said, I'm coming with experience. I'm coming with children. I'm working. So I'm earning. So I'm not coming to you because I want anything from you. I'm coming to you because I want to be with you. I said, rather, I will ask the person, you, what are you bringing? So I think it starts with the person, because shame starts with you.
Yeah.
When you yourself, because some widows actually feel ashamed that their husbands died.
Yeah.
You had nothing to do with it, hopefully, but you're ashamed that now. So they don't go for gatherings. They don't go. Some stop going to church. Some, because before we used to come with my husband. Now it's only me. People will be looking at me anyhow. Then she withdraws. And then even for those that are separated or divorced. So because of the stigma, they now own it. So that's the thing about stigmatization. If you don't own it, it won't stick.
Yeah.
They will fling it will fall off. But when you yourself, you are ashamed of your status, then it's easy for you to transfer it to the children. Remember at the beginning, Mr. O said, these children, is not what we tell them, it's what we do.
Yeah.
They are watching. So when you yourself, you are showing that, oh, I'm ashamed that my marriage with your mother did not work, so I don't talk about it. It now becomes a hush hush. After my late husband died, anybody that walks into my house, one child can just come and say, hey, Mama, you remember when Dada did this? And then I'll see everybody looking shocked. Like, they're talking about him. Then I'll smile and tell them, yes, we talk about him in this house. The fact that he has died doesn't mean he never existed.
Wow.
And I don't want my children to be afraid of death. I don't want my children to think that, oh, death. We grew up afraid of death. We grew up thinking death was from the devil. not a natural phenomenon where there is a birth and the end is death. So we grew up believing that don't talk about it, let it not come near you. It's like one shadow that is just waiting. If you call my name, I'll come close. So the same thing with divorce is when you now make the children feel like, don't tell them I'm divorced. Even you're trying to keep up appearances, and then the children are now confused. You say you're not with my mother, but you people are doing things that couples do just so that society will not see. And then that gets transferred to the child, and then even the child's confidence. Because apart from the confusion of are they together, they are not together, there's also that, okay, they are hiding it. It's something shameful. I have to hide it too. So there is that aspect of it for the children. What was the other question? What's the other?
For the children. Yeah, I think you talked about it.
Yeah, so I feel that you have to work on yourself. I believe that you yourself, what is your perception? Even if you were not the one that left the marriage, that marriage has broken down. First, accept that reality.
Yeah.
That spouse has died. Accept that reality.
Yes.
Then ask yourself, what is the way forward? Okay, this is my reality. What do I want to do about it?
I like.
Because it's when you're now pretending that you're even lying to your own self.
Yeah.
This did not happen. If I say it did not happen, it did not happen. It did not happen. It did not happen. So you keep telling yourself it did not happen. And the children are wondering, okay, Dada has died. We don't see him. We don't talk to him. We buried him. But Mama is in denial, which is a phase anyway. But when you're now in denial for life, they're now wondering whether he really died or he truly just traveled. Because maybe that's the story you're telling them. Then another thing, always be open with your children. We treat children like they're half human, like their brain is not
dumb.
Rich. And sometimes I ask parents, you gave birth to a child, I actually believe that child is dumb. Well, and we underestimate the capacity of what our children can handle.
Yeah.
Age appropriate conversations, yes, but don't lie to them. I remember someone telling me not to tell my children that their dad had died. And I asked them for how long. I said, this is someone that even when he travels, there is phone call, WhatsApp call, video calls, and then so I tell them today, oh, he traveled. Why did he not call us? His battery died. Tomorrow, has he not charged the phone? Please tell me which other lie I want to put and for how long. And I told them, I said, no, I can't do that. Even for myself, my sanity, I can't do that.
It's not sustainable.
So from the very beginning, tell them as it is.
Yes. I think that's quite a good place to wrap this, because if there's anything everyone that gets to watch this should remember is to build a blended family that raises mentally strong children. Be truthful, be transparent, have an open mind. Remind yourselves that blended home is unique. No matter how many blended homes you have been in, this one is different. So you need to learn the strategies together and evolve together and expand your capacity to accommodate a lot of things happening in that blended home, because some compromises have to be made for the bigger good. So these are the ways that with good faith, with true intentions, with a progressive mind, a blended home can work. And like we have said, it starts with the parents in that blended home. Everything starts and ends with the parents. And if the parents are not accommodating themselves, developing shared values, helping each other become better, because you can't forget where you're coming from. Let's not lie. But the goal is not to forget where you're coming from. The goal is to realize that what I have now is priceless, and I don't want to let this go, irrespective of where I'm coming from. These are these very short steps we hope that can add value So everyone that is able to hear this, and we're grateful to be able to share this
Thank
platform.
you. Thank you so much. That was, I mean, the chat is so solemn. So I feel like I feel like I mean, because it's not an everyday conversation, and I did this intentionally. Like, people are stuck because they feel like, because society tells you this is what should happen, or this is the pattern for someone who has come out of a marriage, or someone who is widowed. It's almost like society telling you, oh, if you are separated, then that is it for you, or if you're widowed, that is it for you, right? So, and that's exactly why I had to bring you on here to share your story. And there was something you said which really resonated with me. You said, you find a way to help each other learn each other. And I think it's something that we can take away, even for us who are in the typical family system, right? Your child is meeting you, your child met you the day you met them, right? Your
Yes.
Yes.
husband came from a different background as you. And even in the course of your marriage, you're growing. I haven't been with my husband for 2 years. And just recently, I was telling him, I said, the person that left Nigeria 2 years ago is not the person you're coming to meet, because a lot has changed. So it we will have to relearn each
Yes.
other, again. So even in the course of your marriage, you're still growing, you're developing, and you're changing. So in that journey, to sustain that relationship, you must always find a way to help each other learn each other. And
Yes.
that really resonated with me. But before I let you people go, you Pops, you came from a you separate, you were divorced, and
Yes.
Mrs. O, you were widowed. What would you say, was there a period of healing? Because I know that for the marriage to work, right, it's two whole people that can make it work, regardless of whatever we want to say. If two broken people still come back again 10 times over, there will still be a challenge. So
Yes.
was there a period of healing, and what was your healing like? If you would just, because maybe for someone who is listening, who is
Yes.
at a place where they're trying to start over, what do you
Yes.
think they should do? What are the things they should be? What are the soul searches they should do? What is the journey they should take before they start that journey again, to ensure that it actually works?
Okay, yes, there is still healing.
Yes.
It's an ongoing process. It's a journey, so it's not a destination. But you can also know that, oh, just yesterday or day before yesterday, just some few days ago, Mr. O was saying that, oh, if he had made up his mind earlier,
Yes.
2019,
Yes.
that he would have asked me to be his wife since then. And I told him, I said, I don't think we were ready then, because my husband died
2018.
2018 and he was still healing, because there was a lot that he was still processing. So even though there was this new interest, I don't think as at that time we were ready. I know we were not ready, both of us. And so for healing to take place, you have to be a participant in your healing. You cannot be a spectator and say, okay, this marriage ended 2024. By December 2026, I should be ready. And then you just sit down and say, in 2 years' time, I should be
Remarry
ready. I
anyhow.
will remarry. You will still carry that broken piece into that marriage. But for you have to be a participant. And what do I mean by that? You have to take steps by yourself.
Be a better
He had
version
to
of
do
yourself.
soul searching.
Yeah.
He had to come to terms with the role he played in the breakdown of the first marriage. He didn't just sit down and say that the marriage broke down, I want to marry you. We for no day here, because I will not even listen to you. And even though my late husband died, I also, because no marriage is perfect, I had to also go through the 9 years I spent with him and ask myself the role I played to, what were the things I did not enjoy? What were the things that annoyed him? So we were talking from day one with Mr. O. Like, let's talk this thing, We're not even ready for any surprises. Hard talk. Let's talk it. You have to do your own healing journey. Be a participant. What does it take? Do you need to go to therapy? Do you need to forgive someone? Do you need to release some things? Do you need to come to a place? Because if you carry any baggage from your previous life, it will so show, like it will be magnified in this one. Please don't go into a new relationship when you have not sorted whatever it is. Like I said, even if you're widowed, your marriage was not perfect. So for me, that's just it. Heal for you first.
For you.
Not I want to heal to marry.
Yes.
Heal for you first. Be wholesome. Remember your past without the pain. Then you will know that you're on your way. You know, you're healing. But when every time you remember your ex is with so much bitterness and anger, that witch, that madman, very stupid. How do you even want to have a
meaningful,
a smooth blending when you cannot even talk about the ex
without issue, or tension or triggers?
So I will stop.
Thank you. So we have a question. We'll questions and then we jump into the next session. We have a question. It says, can you speak around the blending that occurs when you bring someone to come stay with your young family?
So the thing about blended family is that it is value driven. The more shared values in that blended family, the more peaceful. And like we said, everything starts with the parents in the blended family. You have to say, this is our home. If I on my phone, we have this script we wrote when we decided we were getting married. We wrote, in our home will be this, will be this, will be this, will be this. We sat down, wrote that. And our heart talk was one of the best things we ever did. We asked every kind of questions on the surface of this earth. Once it crossed our mind, we'll ask. There were times I was afraid of asking some things, and I will ask and she will answer. I'm like, wow. So we can actually talk like this without anybody being edgy and afraid. And it really helped us. So when you bring someone into your home to form a blended family, you, the parents, have to set the tone. This is the kind of home we want to build. And this is what it will take. Some may not adjust immediately. Some it may take a while. Some may require a bit of patience and management and massaging of ego here and trade-off here. There is no one formula. But the thing is that the parents in that home must be focused. You must be consistently in tune. Because the risk of blended family is when either of the parents start taking sides with the members in the family, problem don't start with that. Because both of us must be on the same page to be able to communicate, guide, reinforce, manage, even in terms of discipline. We have to be on the same page so that it doesn't look like, oh, you're trying to victimize my own person, but when I want to for your own person, you are blood shielding that person. Once those kind of conversations start, problem don't start with that.
Yeah, and I suppose with regards to this question, I think that if you're bringing a young child to come and stay with you, then you have to be ready to adopt them as your own child, really, because that's the only way it can work. If as the parent you're setting the tone, then that means you're teaching your children that this person is part of the family, and it shows in how you treat them, how you communicate to them, how you relate to them, and that's what your children will follow, whether to accept the person as part of the family or not, really.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, this question says, how do you deal with a child or children who refuse to blend in?
So the thing about blending, it's not just one deal. It's blending. So it's not okay. Our parents have married. We love each other. No biases. No. Our first is 15 now. She was 14. So for 14 years, she had a different programming, a different life that she knew. We won't expect that in 1 year, she just come and say, okay, my father loves this woman. She's my mother. No. So the thing about blending is that because we're expecting it to be instantaneous,
yeah.
We said we're blended. No. over and over. Like my husband said, reinforcement. They will go back, oh, but we will shall reinforce it again. Because, okay, like for Sharon, she has known her sister for 14 years now. 12, 13 years
13
now.
years now.
She has known her sister for 13 years, but she has known my own children that I came into the marriage with for, let's even say, 1 year. They knew themselves before them, but they've lived for just 1 year. So you won't expect that the way, because she can predict some things about her younger sister.
Yes.
But this one is still not clear for her. So her approach to them will be different, and vice versa. And then for Sharon and Feromi, they've never Kukuma had a brother. They don't know what to do with a brother. And then here they are now with a baby brother who is always, who wants to be around them, and he's following them, and
they're following them everywhere, and they're wondering, oh my God, who
this
is
is the
this?
girls' room. Can you excuse us? And then he's the only one, and he's wondering, nobody likes me. Their room, and then we have to keep talking to them. Yes, we know that you guys, but just keep in mind that he's also your brother. He just loves you. He wants to be around you. He loves your company. So please don't expect it to be an overnight magic. I think for the rest of our lives we'll be blending.
I'm telling you.
That's just so. Don't give up and say child refuse to blend.
Yeah, that mindset will hurt you.
That mindset will hurt you, because if you now become, you see, they're complaining about the food.
Things, yes.
You see, they don't like this dress that I bought for them. Meanwhile, your own child can actually not like a dress that you bought for them, and it won't be an issue. But because this child just doesn't like this color, doesn't like this design. I know children, they don't have filter. They will say it as it is. You see, it's because I'm not their mother. That's why I say they don't like the dress. If it's their mother that bought it for them, and I bought it expensive, they're saying they don't like it. So you've absorbed this. This child does not. Please don't hold on to that mindset. Just hold on. Just believe that this blending is a daily thing. There is no
we never
end
fully blend
to it. We're blending. So that's why it's not that, okay, we are finished. We are blending.
Yeah, thank you so much. Right, I'm taking away a lot from this. I feel like the challenge that we have as Africans is the censorship around communication, and then there's a lot of conditioning and a lot of biases that we don't question, that we just buy in, and then we're running on that programming without really questioning them. But as I always say, life is not that hard. Like, we're the ones that complicate things, right? If you can talk about things, if you can express yourself with a pure heart, because it has to come from a pure heart, right?
Yeah.
If you can, there's really nothing you will not achieve. I believe. Thank you to you too for sharing your story. Thank you. This has been in fact, we've shot over our time, but we don't mind. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you for sharing your story so vulnerably, and for sharing your time and your experiences with us. We have learned a lot. Guys, please just give them their accolades in the chat. Thank you. I'll remove you guys from the stream and make a few announcements. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you. Guys, we're jumping into the next session just immediately. We're talking about raising mentally strong boys, and you don't want to miss that session, raising mentally strong boys. But before we do that, remember that this event is proudly powered by the Mind Wellbeing Network. And Mind Wellbeing Network is our sister organization where we provide mental health support, therapy for individuals, for children, for families, and for organizations, even for adults, right? So if you're struggling with any challenge, with any mental health challenge, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you're self-sabotaging, if you're feeling like there's something not adding up, that you can be more, but you don't know how to become more, then please reach out to us and let's work together with you to build the life that you desire and you deserve. This event is also supported by the Smartphone Productivity Club, which is an organization that grooms your children on internet literacy and how to use their smartphone to be producers, and not just consumers. They teach your children how to start their own YouTube channel, how to code, how to write ebooks, how to design animations, and a whole lot more. My daughter has been to their program, so I can vouch for what they do. And because you are signed up for Parent Summit Africa, you get 30% discount on any of their program that you choose to be part of. So in the next few minutes, just by 7:45 Nigerian time, we're jumping into the next session, raising mentally strong boys. If you have a son, if you have a nephew, if you have a brother, if you have a husband, you should be in that session. Let's learn and let's share together. See you there. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Mr. Lawrence Kelechi, and I'm a father to two amazing children. Prior to when I met Dr. Vivian, my parenting experience was a struggle. I struggled as a parent. It was overwhelming, something I had not done before. I had a vague knowledge about. All I knew was how I was being trained. That was just all I had. I had a lot of disconnect with my son as at the time. I never understood how children communicate. So whenever my son throw tantrums, whenever he cries excessively and all, I just get so overwhelmed. A lot of times I'll have to spank him, I'll have to shout at him, I'll have to walk out of the room when I feel that the excessive crying was disturbing. It's, regrettably, I had to do all of that. I had a lot of fear if I was going to be a good dad, if I was going to be a great dad. I wasn't patient with my son at the time, all right? A lot of time he cries a lot and then does some things that made me feel that he had anger issues. Not until when I met Dr. Vivian, a friend of mine introduced me to Dr. Vivian, and then I became a part of the Parenting with Calm community. And then I attended Dr. Vivian's weekly trainings. That was just a game changer for me. I had a lot of eureka moments. I got to understand how to communicate with my son. I got to understand how these children try to express their feelings. Sometimes they do it through crying, through throwing tantrums and all. And then I had to understand how to handle those moments. Those fears are gone just because I met Dr. Vivian, and then I got to learn these simple, basic things. Today, I have this amazing bond with my children. It's so amazing. It's obvious. People tell me, wow, that the connection with your children is just so amazing. It started after I became a part of this great community. And apart from what I have learned so far from the trainings and all, being a part of a community where a lot of parents are sharing their experience per time, the best thing that happened to me in 2024 as a parent is meeting Dr. Vivian and becoming a part of the Parenting with Calm community. I want to say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Vivian. You're such an amazing person, always open to hear us when we chat you up. When we want to share our experience, you're always there. You're not judgmental. You just know how to handle every situation once we share them with you. And I'm so glad that I'm a part of the Parenting with Calm community. I want to advise parents here who are not yet part of the Parenting with Calm community that please, this is the best thing that can happen to you in this parenting journey. Be a part of the community, and I bet you, you're not going to regret it.